Bad Moon Rising by Creedence Clearwater Revival. It's not only a fun song, but it makes a great exercise for the beginner guitarist. One of the big issues when you're first learning guitar is being able to switch chords quickly and smoothly. Bad Moon Rising uses a quick chord change with 3 common open chords over and over. That's what makes it a great exercise. What more could a guitar teacher want? I'm going to show you how to play the song and how to practice that quick chord change so it's smooth as butter. I always wanted to say that. Let's do this. I see a bad moon rising. I see trouble on the way. I see earthquakes and lightning. I see bad times today. Well, don't go out tonight, 'cause it's bound to take your life. There's bad moon on the rise. So I had a decision to make. That is the original key that Bad Moon Rising is written in. And it's the key that Creedence Clearwater Revival plays it in. It's using D, the A chord, and the G chord. Now, if I sang like John Fogerty, it'd be way too high for my voice. And it might be high for your voice too. So there's some things I could do about that, but I decided to opt for playing it in the original key so you can play along with the videos. If you want to change it to fit your voice, there's a couple of options there, and I'll talk about that towards the end of the video, so be sure and hang out with me. So let's start with the chords, 3 simple chords. We got the folk style D chord, an A chord. Now I'm using a 2-finger A chord, which works really well going from D to A, but anyone that you're comfortable with will probably be just fine. And then a G chord. And I'm using the 4-finger G. Again, you can use any one you want, but going between these chords, these fingerings tend to make it easy switching. So look at what I'm doing. The D chord to the A chord, I just move the 1st and 2nd finger over. When I go to the G, I put my 3rd finger and pinky down, and notice that the 3rd finger stays right there as I go back to the D and just take the pinky off. So if you're starting from scratch, those are good fingerings, but if you already know the D, A, and G chords, and they're a little different, it's perfectly fine. Now, I'll show you what we're going to use for the basic strum, and then I'll show you where it changes. Let's start just doing the strum together. We're going to go down, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's the most basic strum I know, actually. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Now, when you play this song, there's ways to spice it up, and I'll talk a little more about that later too. But for now, let's just get the basic motion. Try it with me. 4 beats. 1, 2, and I'm doing end up on end. 3 and 4 and. Try it out. Here we go. Ready, hit it. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. If it's sounding a little rough, you might want to try just angling your pick a little differently depending on whether you're going down or up. So your pick's slightly angled up on the way down and slightly angled down on the way up. That makes it a little smoother. And also try not to dig in too deep. So next, let's put the strum and the chords together. So we're going to start with the verse, and fortunately the verse is the same chord pattern over and over and over. It makes kind of a nice exercise to practice your chord changes from A to G to D. So let me show you what I mean. We'll start with 1 full strum. Then we only get half a strum or half a measure for A and half a measure for G. And then you're back to D. So it's a pretty quick change. It's 2 beats, and then a full strum when you get back to D. Now let me play it with the strumming, and then we're going to practice a little bit. D. So you'll notice when I do the A and the G, I don't try to squeeze a strum in there. I just strum down twice. This is how we're going to practice it, but I will show you some subtleties to add a little more interest to it as well. Start with the D. Let's just do 1 basic strum. Here we go. 4 beats. Down, 2, 3, 4. Now 2 downs on A and G, and then we'll do 1 full strum on D. So here's an exercise I want to propose to you, and I'd really encourage you to practice it because you're 90% of the way to the whole song just by this one exercise. Just one strum on D, then 2 downs on A, 2 downs on G, and then start over. That's it. That's the whole exercise. Down, down. Right? I'm kind of consolidating all the movement into a short space for practice. Let's try that together a few times. I'll trust you to practice this as an exercise, and I'm going to show you how it fits into the verse. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, hit it. Down, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up. Down, down, right? I'm just doing one full strum on the D. Again, that's for the exercise purposes. Okay. So go as slow as you need to and just pick it up little by little, the speed. Pick it up little by little till you can get it to where it's somewhere around the speed that you want to play the song. So a good way to practice this is to pull out the metronome even for a little while. Just start very slow and count. Down, 2, 3, 4, and then change, 2, 3, 4, and then pick up the speed little by little. That'll keep you honest so you can tell if you're like slowing down before you get to the change. That's a common problem, by the way, I notice with students is slowing down when they get to a hard chord change. And they do that so often that they don't even realize they're doing it after a while. We want to get over that right now. Then you want to try it with the lyrics. So I'm going to play it with the verse once through, and let's see how it goes. I'm not going to try singing it. I'll just hum the melody. So we'll count 4 and then we'll start. So it's going to be that pattern. But remember, when we get to the D, we're actually going to hold that D for a little longer. I'll show you what I mean. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. I see that moon arising. It's hard to sing that slow. And see, you play 2 more bars, 3 bars. I see trouble on the way to. That's 1 measure, 1, 2. A second measure. I see that's 3 measures of D. Dun, 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 dun. And does it one more time to finish up the verse. Na na da 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 da. And here's where it goes to the chorus. Dun, 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 dun. And we'll get to that in a second. Now, just to be clear, what's happening here is this is 1 round. Dun, 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 then 2 bars of D. So I said 3 earlier. That's because you're actually going back to the beginning and playing 1 more bar. It ends up sounding like 3 together, but really it's 1 in the beginning, 1 bar of the A and G, and then 2 bars of D. See, that's 4 bars total, and then it starts over. 1 bar D, 1 bar that covers A and G, 1 bar D, 1 bar D, then it starts over another bar D because it's what it starts off with. Okay, let's go on to the chorus. The chorus is actually easier because there's no half bars, no quick changes. So here's what it sounds like. 2 bars of G, 2 bars of D, 1 bar A, 1 bar G, and D. Listen. So don't go out tonight. It's bound to take your life. That's 2 bars A. While there's a 1 bar on the back to D. 2 bars, 1, 2. And then to the verse. I see that moon rising. Okay, now I want to give you a couple of pro tips. 1, the strumming thing. When you do the 2 downs, it sounds better if you don't just strum straight down twice. It sounds better if you kind of hit the low strings and then strum. So it's like this. So you can experiment with that. You don't have to get it perfect, but try adding a little variety. Instead of always just hitting all the strings, try hitting the low strings, then all the strings, or the low strings, then the high strings. It adds some character to the strum. The same thing actually when I'm strumming down, down, up, down, up, down, up. I'm actually moving my pick so it hits more the low and more the high. It's not just a bass note. I'm just hitting on that side, the low and the high. Listen, here's straight up and down. Now here's what I'm actually doing. For that to work, you kind of got to know where the bass notes are. For D, it's the 4th string. For A, it's the 5th string. And for G, it's the low 6th string. And again, you don't have to hit just the bass note, but you got to know where you're aiming at. Now, I promised I would talk about how to change the song if you want it to better fit your voice. Now, the way I'm playing it right now, it's kind of low for my voice. So one thing I could do is put a capo on and raise it up. I'm going to put a capo on the 3rd fret, and I've raised it up 3 half steps, 1 fret, 2 fret, 3 fret. That's 3 half steps, or 1.5 whole steps. It was in the key of D. It's now D to E, that's 1 whole step. E to F is that half step. E to F, B to C is a half step. So it's now in the key of F, but I'm going to play the same chords. That D is now an F chord. So it'd be easier to play for me because it's not so low. I see the bad moon rising. I see trouble on the way. Okay, not ideal because the pitch of the guitar sounds a little higher, kind of like a mandolin or something. Not bad, but it's still kind of low for my voice, actually. I'd want to raise it up even higher. What I would actually do is change the chords. And that's beyond the scope of this lesson, because that's a whole thing about how to transpose a song. Luckily for you, I've made a whole video lesson on that, and I'll put a link to it in the description below. Well, that's all I got for now. If you found this video made you smile, give me a thumbs up. And I've created another song lesson video that I think you're really going to like. I recommend you watch it now. Here's a link to it.